All right. Hang on. Okay, we're good. All right. So, a couple things first before we start. As always, sign up or sign in or whatever. Kevin wants to keep track of who's here. Today we're going to be going over, we're going to be finishing up the main feed, adding the aside card, and fixing up a little few things like the logo and stuff. After that, we'll be creating a landing page, like a little login, so users know to log in so they can see their main feed. We'll be doing a little bit of prototyping, so connecting those two cards and possibly other cards. Or sorry, views, not cards. My bad. And then after that, I think that'll be enough for today. And then once Kevin's back, I believe on Monday, we'll be actually getting into coding this thing. Since you'll have seen enough about how design works. So let's finish wrapping that up. So let's get rid of that. And let's pop in Figma. Okay. So we left off here, and there's a couple things I did want to fix up. So for one thing, they have a logo and we don't, and we'll create like a little mini logo. You can use tons of tools for that online, but we'll just be doing a quick thing in Figma. I want to fix a little bit of stuff there on the author area, and then we need to do the aside card. Okay. Yeah, that's totally fine. We should also do the comments. That's something to think about too. Okay, well, let's start with what we can do. So, yeah. All right, so let's fix this up a little bit. So, main feed items, main card. Let's group that real quick. Let's just, no, we don't do that. We want to keep it as a frame because we don't want to affect the actual size of the objects inside. Let's change that to author, and then we'll just put location. We don't need to say post. Let's 17. Let's skip that over a bit. Yeah. We could even go smaller than that, but that's totally fine. It's just making it look a little nicer. And technically, when you're creating a post like this, we should be doing a like an auto layout with no padding in between. That way we won't have to see the spacing beside it. We won't have to correct every little thing. I'm just gonna not do that for now, though. Don't worry about it. We can always get to that later if we're doing an actual project. Let's just make the interactions bigger to cover for it. Okay, that's fine. And then do that. Let's make a little mini logo just to fend for it. So you can go over here to the menu bar and you can hit the little pen icon. You can switch from pen to pencil, or you can just hit P. And we can just, for now, create whatever little logo we want. And we can actually import this into our app if we wanted to. So say, ooh, what is our application's name? I believe it was like bitter or something that we were talking about. I'm not entirely sure. Well, we can just go with something for now. So let's do, I don't know, I'm not gonna like this. I'm going to use the pencil tool just because it's a little easier for now. But the pen tool is much cleaner and it'll look much nicer. No, that looks weird. Bitter. Alright, very nice. Let's grab all those and let's group them. So this will be our logo of sorts. I believe you can flatten it. Yeah, so that'll just become one vector, and then we can just say logo. And we can drag that into our application bar. Yeah. And scoot it down. Scoot it over. So let's try to match our spacing. So we have 81 here. Let's actually grab that. Scoot it over one. Let's keep 80. Let's just get it. Alright. And then we can obviously, you know, change that color to our primary if we wanted. And that's our logo for now. Usually it's nice to have a little drawing and then like the words as well. So you can swap between the two depending on what kind of viewport you're using. So if it's like a wider device, you can use the words and the icon or just the words. And then if it's a smaller device like an iPhone or an Android, you can just use the little icon. That way you're saving a lot of real estate. So we've got that done. Let's do an aside card. So what did they have? They had discussions. Okay. That's going to be hard to code, but let's just do it anyway. So we're going to start with a little basic card. Let's say 10 from there, 10 from there. Let's get a rounding of 4. I believe that's what we did for the others. We'll give it a fill of surface, because remember we're trying to keep with our palette. And let's actually not do a rectangle. Let's turn that into a frame. Let's make the width just an even 200. Let's make the height an even 400. We'll get rid of the rectangle inside. And we'll give the frame a name of the side card. Or rather, I guess up there is called the discussion post area. So we can do discussions, that's fine. Let's call it discussions. So this is where like new posts, popular posts would be, and we can actually do that in our code, although it'd be a little difficult, but we can totally do that. So let's do fill. Let's grab the surface color. Make sure to keep a rounding of 4. And then we're going to steal this. I'm going to pop it over here. They didn't keep that much spacing, so they don't have 16 there. They have like, they have 12. Okay, yeah, we can do 12, that's fine. So discussions and then ask others. So we're gonna have to create another variant of our previous buttons. So let's do that in just a second. So 16, boop. Let's change that to discussions. We're gonna steal this, copy, and paste that in there. And we're just gonna drag it over, drag it down. So we'll use that for more. Oh no, we're gonna use something a little smaller. So we're gonna need an avatar icon, a author name, the timestamp. We can do the top discussion flags, but actually no, we can do that. Yeah. And then ask others. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get rid of you actually, we don't need you. Let's create a little ellipse. Let's make it about 24 by 24. Drag it over. We'll give it 16 spacing. And then remember, we can go to our Figma main menu, we can hit plugins. Where was it? Avatars. We can hit avatars. So that's a really nice plugin because it'll just generate a random user avatar. You can go to Unsplash and you can just manually do it yourself. But this is just nice because it's a simple plugin that speeds up your workflow. So you just click that. It's not the best placed avatar, but it'll work for now. So let's go ahead and let's add in a name. So Maria, I don't know. Let's change that to about 12. We'll change it from fill to let's do text primary dark. And you have another saying like 2 hours ago. We'll change that to about 10. We'll change it from that color to text gray. And then let's hit escape to exit out of the text mode. Scoop that up. Scoop this up. Let's see, hang on. I think theirs are a little bigger. Okay, actually, no, it's the text that's throwing me off. So let's change this. Let's make this 10 as well. We should not bold that. We can keep that bold though because it's an important thing, so you want to keep important text bolded. So let's go ahead and scoot this up. Okay, that's fine. Let's go with that. And then we can just have like the text post. So for now we can just have whatever. Actually no, we should follow proper design styling. So let's actually scoot that over. Try to have 2 more, so we'll do 176. So we have 12 even pixels of spacing on each side. We'll change it from fill color of black to text gray. Or you can even do text primary actually, because it's a little more important than the timestamp. Then we'll take that, we can give it a, yeah, we should keep auto height because we don't care how long the title post is, but we do care if it's going to like overflow up the card. So let's get that. Let's do another plugin. So remember, this one's the Lorem Ipsum plugin. So all you do is you go back to your home page. You hit the community tab. You go to the search bar and you type in Lorem Ipsum. So this is just filler text that is quite common to use. It's, I believe it's Latin or Greek. I think it's Latin. And it's just filler text. So whenever you have like a big chunk of text you'd have on a page, you would just use this. So we hit plugins in the plugins tab. And then I use the very first plugin. It works for me. And so that's what we're going to be doing here. So let's go back to our project. Let's hit plugins and let's hit Lorem Ipsum. And we'll just hit auto generate because we can let it handle like how much text we actually need. And there you go, okay. And then this will be one item. So let's highlight all that, or sorry, select all that. Let's group it with Control G. And then we can actually duplicate it. And then duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. Kind of looks boring if you have the same thing over and over again, but no, actually, let's change it. So you can just highlight a previously, hang on, sorry. So if we want to add a little bit more of depth to our prototype, to our design, we can change up stuff so we don't repeat it, everything. So let's go back to our plugins. We're going to select our circle, go back to plugins, hit our avatars, and it'll generate another avatar for us. And I wonder if I can just select multiple. Yes, I can. Very nice. Okay. And then I go to plugins and hit avatars and fingers crossed. Very nice. Okay. Oh, I know her. She's a nice actor. Okay. And so let's see how it compares to theirs for now. So they seem to have a little more spacing because they have the complete discussion post. They don't just have the title. Well, I guess it could be either way. I say we should do titles. We shouldn't have the whole discussion just because even though they do cut it off, which we can do, I think it'd just be better to have titles because titles are meant to grab people's attention. And so that can handle that portion for us. We don't have to worry about getting people's attention. So let's actually do that. So let's make it a little more fun. And again, you're noticing that we have a lot of repeated groups, and as we talked about last time, that means we should have a auto layout or a frame that has a auto layout, and from there it'll handle like the spacing for us and everything else for us. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to discussions. Let's grab all these. Let's hit Control G to group them, and we'll say post layout. Or discussions, post layout. So let's grab that. Let's hit auto layout. It'll automatically handle spacing because we already have it set to spacing of 10. And then let's go into here, grab that text, make it a little bigger. Let's go to plugins. It's going to fight me on this, so we're just going to go to plugins. We're going to generate 2 sentences and hit generate. And you'll also notice that they gave it a little more spacing than we did, so let's go ahead and do that too. And they also have a line, and we can do that with, I believe it's divide-y in Tailwind, and it'll handle that for us, so we don't have to worry about importing like lines or anything. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's grab a line and draw it in there, and you can hold down Shift to keep it at certain angles. So let's grab that, make sure it's the same length as everything else. Alright, let's give it a stroke color border. I don't believe we can round the corners, can we? Round. Yeah, very nice. Okay. And then let's give it a little more spacing. So let's put that in group 1. Actually, we don't even need to put it in group 1. Although you can. And perhaps that's better. But I'm going to keep it outside. And I'm just going to duplicate it a bunch. You'll notice I don't have to worry about dragging it myself in the actual workspace. I can just drag it in the layers panel and it'll automatically sort it for me. So you can tell that we don't need that anymore because it's going off the overflow. And let's try to keep our discussions within a certain height for now. So we can get rid of that line as well. Let's just pop that in there. What was the spacing on this? It was 7. Let's drag it up a little bit. It's still a little crowded in my opinion. Like something feels off about it. if we go up here, it feels less crowded. I wonder why. Maybe it's just me being thrown off. That's okay. Let's go ahead and let's add a little tag. So for some of these posts, there's going to be like a top discussion or like it's on fire, something important about it. So let's go ahead and let's just make something small. We can even just do an emoji. So like you have a little fire emoji instead of having like a top discussion little tag. But let's go ahead. Yeah, we can do a frame. So I'm going to make it right here. I'm going to give it a fill color and I'm going to say primary. I'm going to round it off by about 4. We can change that later. I'm going to drop some text and say popular. So this would be a popular tag. And I'm going to just drag that in. That might be a little too big. We'll have to fix that. I'm going to drag that into group 1. Yeah, that's a little big. This is about a height of 12, so we'd want this also to be about a height of 12. And because it's not a group, it doesn't affect the child element, so let's go ahead and let's just change that to a group. And it loses its fill. Forgot about that. So pop it back to a frame. Let's go to fill color, primary, round the corners by about 4. Kind of want to change the text to a little smaller, but we're already cutting it close. So let's just make it a little bigger. So let's go width of 50. And you'll notice the text was not centered. So let's hit our text and let's hit from left and right, or sorry, to center. So let's just drag that over. And then we'll also have to change the text constraint right here. And there we go. Okay, so if we change the frame to be a little bigger, yeah, it should match. Okay. That's not the best way to do this. In fact, I don't particularly like that way to do it. I'd rather have like a little icon like how Reddit does it, or maybe Twitter does something like that too. I'm not sure. Actually, we can check and see if Twitter does do something like that. Let's go ahead. Oh, come on. Twitter. Wait, am I logged in? No, I'm not. Okay. That is unfortunate. That's not his name. What is his name? Tim Cook, right? Tim Cook, CEO of Apple or something like that. Yeah, that's his name. Okay. Very good. So yeah, so they don't do like trending or anything. Or sorry, they don't do a little tag for trending. They have a card for it though. So we're on the right track. So maybe we don't need a tag. We can keep it for now, just in case, but we don't necessarily need a tag. Let's change it from popular to top. And let's change it from 9 or 10 to about 9. Yeah. That, let's change it to about 40. We can change it to maybe 30. We can just keep that for now. So let's grab that. So this is the popular tag. Let's copy it. And let's just put it into group 2 as well. Paste that. Drag that over. Nope, come on. Yeah, okay. Let's get this over as well. It shouldn't be that far out. Oh, no, it should be. Never mind. This is too far out. So let's just scoot it over. Very good. Alright. It feels a little funny to me. Maybe it's because there's so much spacing. So let's just... There is a way to have auto width or auto height. I just can't recall. It's gonna mess me up for sure. No, we don't want that. We'll keep it at 375. It's a nice even number. Well, a nice number. So we'll go with that. Let's see how it compares. So they also have a little button here that says Ask Others. I don't think we need that. Or maybe we can have like a create your own button. Or create your own discussion button. So let's go back to our component and let's hit here and let's do add new variant. We'll make an action of new, like a new post, or maybe it should be called something else. New. We'll go with new for now. We can always change it later. So let's go with new. Let's change it here. Oh, I'm just saying new right there. And let's do it again. So, because they'll throw a little like, hey, you're missing something, figure it out. So yeah, let's do another variant, add new variant, new, we'll do solid, and then let's change it. So let's go login, let's change it to new, and then we'll change the color to text white. We'll select the variant itself. We'll change the fill color from surface to primary. Oh, I didn't like that. Okay, hang on. Text color, primary to text white. There we go. Okay. Yes, very good. And then, of course, we can duplicate it, or we can go to the Assets tab, go to our local components, and then we can just drag it over. That's a little big for what we want, so we can resize it, of course. So let's just drag it in. Let's do outlined, new, and let's just make it a little smaller. Looks a little funky. Let's see what they did. They also did it centered. So they have these two items, the Ask Others and the Discussions text. They have it aligned at a center axis, the center x-axis. So let's also try to match that, which we did. Okay, awesome. Then I believe we should be good. We can make it a little bigger, if anything. And what's the spacing? 13. I think the spacing a little larger, so 1, 2, 3, so 16. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. We'll go with that. All right. So we're going to accommodate the spacing that we did here. I'm going to make the discussion card a little bit taller. So 377. It's okay if it's not 375. And let's take a step back. We can go to our prototype. So remember, you can hit the little play button here, and it'll open up your prototype. And so I mean, that looks pretty good so far. Not terrible, not great, but not terrible. So let's go ahead and let's go back to the entitled, and I noticed let's collapse all these little tab things. Collapse, collapse. Okay. I would like to put a few shadows. I know we shouldn't ever overdo shadows, but I think it would look a little nicer if we did. So let's go ahead. Let's see what we can do. So in Tailwind, there's a couple different things. Tailwind actually allows you to use their pre-built shadows, which are much nicer than doing them yourselves. I believe they use like 3 shadows. So like one's lighter, one's a little bit more prominent, and then one's lighter again. So it creates like a nicer shadow effect. And I believe I can also do that here. So let's see if it lets me do it on frames. Okay, so we go to our main menu plugin, and I showed this previously. It's called Shadow Picker. Let's see if it lets me do it. So let's do a shadow size of medium. And it kind of shows you a preview of it. If I go extra large, you'll see it's darker. If I go medium, it's lighter. So let's see if I can apply shadow. Yes, very nice. Okay. It's very, well, I wouldn't say it's subtle, but it's not like in your face loud. So we can also do that with our posts. We can also do that here. I don't think it'll look nice because this is like a transparent card, this navigation bar. But we can try it and we can see how it looks. So let's go to Shadow Picker and let's do it again. Current selection must have a fill. No, so it's not going to work with that. Let's do it with a main card, which should really be called a post, but don't worry about that. Let's do apply shadow. Yeah, it applied a shadow. Very nice. It's very like, I love the shadows that Tailwind lets us do, and this is just a plugin that tries to mock or emulate it. It just looks so nice. But again, maybe don't overdo it, but I think it looks nice with the shadow, so let's keep it there. This should be aligned, and is aligned. That's okay. Anyway, I think that's it for the main page. If you guys think of anything else, we can obviously add it. I think we're good for that. I'm just going to duplicate this, so we'll get rid of the previous main card, or the second main card, and we're just going to duplicate this. So when we go to our prototype, we can just scroll through a lot more. Oh, you didn't like that? Okay. You should have an auto layout. So that's why it was being weird. So again, anytime you have a section where a user might scroll through things, so for example, like their main feed where there's a bunch of posts, you should have an auto layout, which is on frames usually. Because that's where you can control the overflow scrolling in Figma. So that's why it should be there. So let's go ahead and change that to vertical. Let's give it spacing of about 20, maybe even 30 for now. Let's see how that looks. So, you're still gonna fight me on it. Okay. Why are you gonna fight me? Prototype, vertical scrolling. Okay, yes. So this should not have the auto layout on it. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna undo all of that. And we're going to, how do I want to do this? We'll duplicate the frame. We'll drag it in here. And we'll get rid of these old frames. So now it's the same height and everything. So let's go ahead and we'll click this. We'll call it main feed layout. We'll call this main feed, not fed. We'll click this and we'll add an auto layout here. We'll change it to vertical. We'll give it a padding of about 30-ish between each post. we'll go back to the main feed and we'll hit prototype, and it's got vertical scrolling. We'll get rid of the vertical scrolling on the layout itself. And then, very nice, okay. And you can scroll through it, or you can click and drag. And that's the basics of it. So let's do a couple things here. So we want to touch a little bit on prototyping. So let's move that over. And let's do something here. So let's go to frame. And let's hit, let's hit desktop again. We'll stick with it. That is a very large desktop. That is not what I wanted. Let's do 1280 by 720, since that was what we had before. Drag that over here. Let's get you out of the way. And we'll call this, you can call it the landing page, or you can call it a login page. Perhaps a landing page would be better, but I'm going to go with login page. Or login. This will be our main feed. This will be our login. Okay, so again, let's start with the basics. So we go to our fill, and we're going to give it a background color. So how does the login page want to look? We know we're going to need a login text field, a login label, a password label, and a password text field. And then some buttons to click around. So we can actually hop on Dribble, and we can look up login pages, because this is what we did before, right? So we can look up login page, see what there is. And these all look really nice, and now that you have the power, you can also just copy them. I kind of like a simple look. I have to log in. It's nice, but these are all kind of a lot. I do like Google simple, like, hey, just enter in your stuff. Yeah, let's go with something simple. That would be a little too much. Yeah, let's just do something simple for now, like that. So let's go ahead here, and let's just do a little, actually, this is technically a Twitter clone, so let's see what Twitter does. So this is what Twitter does. It just got a simple little area. Yeah, we can do that too. So, log into Twitter, phone, email, password, login. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. It would even be cooler if we had a photo as the background. So there's two things. We can just go ahead and do a frame. Let's give it a fill of surface for now. Actually, no, let's not. No, yeah, we will. We'll give it a stroke of color primary, kind of like what we did with our buttons. We'll round the corners by 16, and so you can start to see that. Maybe we could even tone it down to 12. Yeah, we'll keep it as that. Draggle text here, and we'll say username. And we'll change that to about 16. Let's drag it over. 10 pixels. Let's do 12. And then we'll grab those two. Actually, before we grab those two, let's change this to text primary. And then, actually, no. Because remember, so this will be our login field. Sorry, username field. So we want to add another text right here, and we'll say What would Twitter do? So they say phone, email, or username. They don't even have a label up here. So we can copy that. Maybe we should do that. Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. Let's do that. So let's say username. In fact, actually, let's just get rid of that and drag that into there. So because it's a placeholder, it's always going to be very light. You don't want to ever have it be super noticeable, because once the users start typing in their actual information, then it should be like a text primary or text primary dark color. We'll just go text gray for now, and we'll get rid of the little semicolon, or sorry, colons. And we can even make it italic. Although you'll notice that Twitter doesn't do that, so maybe we shouldn't either. And that would be our username field. So let's go ahead, duplicate it. And then let's also do password. And this should actually be extended. $275. Let's do text all the way to the left. It should also be $275, and then text line to the left. Okay, that's the basics. Let's also give it some description text. Let's say log in. We'll make that a huge font size, maybe 36. Give it a fill color of text primary dark. Let's go with that. Scoot it down. And then looks a little plain, not gonna lie. So there's a couple things we can do here. We can have it be on a card, so similar to the way these are on cards. We can also do that. So let's see how that looks real quick. So let's do 500 by 500. We'll give it a fill color of surface. We'll round the corners by about 16. Maybe more, honestly. Yeah, that's fine. We'll even it out. We'll grab all of these. I'm just going to add a little bit of the shadow picker just because it looks a little plain. So we'll do a large shadow. And see how that compares. So obviously it looks a little different. Maybe let's copy their thing right here. Log into bitter. We'll extend it all the way. They even have their logo. We could also put in our logo, just to like copy them. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So let's grab these, scoot these down a bit. Actually, let's even center them. That might be a little too much. Hang on. Yeah. So first, actually, let's do a button. Do our login button. And then we'll also have a... Do we want 2 buttons? Yes, we do, because that would be consistent. So let's change this from variant login to sign up, and let's do solid. So drag this to the left, and we'll drag this there, and then let's just drag them over a little bit. So let's say 150. And then let's also do 150. I don't like the login being on the left because most people are like right-handed. They look to the right to continue on to the next page. You go to the right to move forward and you go left to move back. So let's actually change this from variant sign up. Let's switch it to login. And then we'll change this to sign up. And we'll do... Actually, no, we'll keep that outlined. And we want the login to be solid because that's what we want them to focus on clicking. And again, you don't have to do it this way. You could do one big button for login, which is what Twitter did. And then you could have a little sign up for Twitter right here. There's several ways to do it, and whichever way makes sense to you or how you would want your social media clone to be, go ahead and do it. So let's actually steal our logo. And let's just drop it into here, because why not? Yeah, so let's scoop that. And you shouldn't have vectors just lying around, honestly. That's not the way to go. So let's actually get rid of that. And what we should do is we should make a frame. And this has a 54 by 34, so let's say it's about we'll give it a 55 by 35 for now. So let's make this 55, 35. We're going to need more spacing than that. Okay. So let's grab our frame and let's make it about 60 and 40. Let's get rid of the fill. And let's call it logo. We'll keep this as a logo vector. And then now, let's actually drag this down. And let's right click and let's do create component. So again, when you create a component, you're creating an asset. So this is something that can be used multiple times across different pages. It can have variants, such as we have with the buttons. And it's just something to help not only speed up your workflow, but it's easier on Figma, so it doesn't have to save multiple assets. It can just have one saved location and it can just reference it. So now that we have that, let's use it. So let's go over here, go to our main feed, and let's just drag in the logo right there. And we can just replace it. So let's get rid of the old one. Nice, okay. So let's do that again. So let's grab Bitter and just pop it right there. And again, you can do all sorts of effects with logos. You don't have to use just a bad one like this. If you were doing a proper professional product, you'd probably have a team that would handle your assets. However, you could also just make your own. There's plenty of vector software out there. Figma, of course, can create vectors. You can copy as SVG. You can use the pen tool. You can use other programs such as Illustrator. What's a better one? Because Illustrator costs some money, so you can use something like Affinity Designer or even like GIMP or Inkspace or something. But Figma is actually pretty useful because you can do all that itself, so you don't even have to get another program. So let's get back to work and let's align these a little better. So how big are you? Okay. Let's make this 300 width. So it's even 100 on each side. Let's do that here as well. Scoot it over. Scoot that over. Scoot that over. And now they're touching, which is kind of an issue. It looks weird. Like you don't usually have buttons touching. There should always be some sort of spacing. So let's go ahead Let's change this to 140. Let's do 140. That looks nicer. I would make the spacing a little smaller, honestly. Maybe like 142. But that's just nagging on the little pixels. It's not too big of a deal because you just want to get the main idea out there. Your designing team would actually be handling the pixel perfect part of it. So let's go ahead. This is 38. So let's scoot that down. This has a spacing of 21. So let's go ahead, grab that. Let's just scoot it down a little more. Actually, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 25 spacing between the logo and the login text. And then from the login text, or title, to the actual text fields, it's a spacing of 50. So let's go ahead and even it out. So let's grab all these. Let's just drag them to the center. That looks a little funny. Maybe let's ignore the logo real quick and then let's try to even this out. Honestly, you don't even need the logo there. We could keep it just because that's how Twitter did it. But Twitter didn't do a card, so we can do multiple versions actually. We can do, if we do Control D, we'll duplicate it, and we can just drag it down over here. Usually workflows tend to go left to right. That's why you'll see me putting the login pages on the left, the main feed here, and any other pages would go over here. So we can do multiple versions. So let's do no logo, and let's do login, no logo. And we can also do it again. Drag that down. And we can do, what do we want to do? Let's go to Figma. And there's a plugin called Unsplash. And this is the page we used previously. It just has a bunch of very nice photos that you can use for free. So let's go ahead and let's open it up. And again, you can get any plugin from the community tab. And let's do, ooh. I'm not sure what photo we can do. But you can pick any photo. Say you want something like mountains. I'm just going to copy that image. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to the background. We're going to get rid of that connection. We're going to import a new color and we're going to go from solid to image. And choose image. We're going to not open that up. We're going to how would I do that? Ah, okay. So you just select the fill color and you just paste it into there, which makes sense, honestly. Oh no, that just puts the image in there. Okay, that's fine. We can use that for now. Although usually you'd want it to be like the fill color because it's the background. I know there's a way to do it. I just can't recall at the moment. Interesting. Okay, well, that's fine. Another thing about this is you're going to have images that are too bright. So usually you'd want to do a an overlay effect. So you'd add another color. You would do something darkish. It doesn't quite, actually no, we should stick with our color guide. This is the issue here. Hang on. Let's it won't play nice. That's okay. Let's go ahead and let's just stick with it. In Tailwind, you got a couple of preset opacities. So you do text or image opacity 25, 50, 75, or 100, or 0. Usually we just do 25 because it's a preset. However, stuff is prettier if it's around like 11%. So just like a gentle overlay. If you do 25, it's much harsher. It still works and it still looks very good. But you sacrifice some of the images. What would you call it? Brilliance. The purpose of the image. It kind of loses its value if you darken it too much. That's more of an artistic choice though. So I'll just keep it at 11 for now. I'll get rid of this fill. And we'll just say image background. Or rather, sorry, background image. So that, for example, would be like a login with the photo. So no logo, comma, photo. And that's how, if you're on a design team, you'd be labeling your various options for pages. Although, again, different companies will have different styling guides and stuff. And so maybe we didn't even want to do that. Maybe we just want like a color or something. So again, that's a simple change. You can just go to the fill, change it from background, and just do whatever you want it. So for example, let's do like a gentle blue. Gentle blue. It's not very gentle, but you get the idea. You can do whatever you want here for your login page. I'm going to keep it as the fill color, or sorry, the background color, because that's what we were doing before. Maybe it would even be better if like we didn't have a card. So let's do one more version. I know we're kind of running out of time, but we'll do one more version. So let's grab this. Let's duplicate it. Drag it down. Login, and we'll say no card. So we'll get rid of the card and we'll just do, oh, and see, this is something I should have done. This shouldn't be named frame 30, this should be named card. So let's just go ahead and fix that. Card, or rather login card. Darn. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna drag that up, and then let's get rid of this. Let's drag these out of there. Boom. So when you get here, obviously you wouldn't want a background color of gray because it kind of looks a little funky. You could try to change this to white, but I don't think it'll look nice. Yeah, that's definitely not gonna work. If we look at Twitter, yeah, they stuck with flat black with white on top, or they stuck with like a, they turn off dark readers, I can change it. No, dark readers already off. Okay, that's fine. So let's go ahead and let's try without that. So let's do background. Let's create a new style. So we'll do background dark. We'll go ahead and we will, oops, we'll hit edit style, grab that color, and let's just drag it all the way down. And if we did something like this, then it justifies like having your text be white. On the other one, it didn't look very good. The contrast wasn't that much, so it'd be harder for users to read it. This also, it's a little weird, honestly. Yeah, it's because there's too much white. So in this case, we wouldn't even have the color be surface. But nor would we want the color to be background dark. No, actually, that's fine. Let's try to do that. So let's change it from surface and let's do... Technically, it shouldn't be called background dark. We should have another color called surface dark. But it's fine. Let's go with that for now. Actually, it looks kind of dope, I'm not gonna lie. Okay. In this case, also, maybe we'd want this text to be a little lighter. And so we'd have like a text gray lighter. And we'd also change this to be, instead of the surface color, we'd want it to be like background dark. And technically, that means we should have a variant for it. I'm just gonna skip that for now. Don't worry too much about it. But yeah, so like there's, for example, a dark theme and a light theme. So in reality, this should be called no card, comma, dark theme. And that looks pretty cool too. So there's several ways you can do this. Perhaps this one's too flat for your taste. Perhaps this one's too much. And so it shouldn't be a login screen. It depends on what you and your team thinks would be the best option. So let's dabble into something a little more. And that's called prototyping. So we've kind of touched on this before. So you'll notice that our first connection is on the main feed. This is where we'll start out when we hit prototype. So if I go here and I hit present, the prototype will start on the main feed page, which was good for when we're like testing stuff, but we want it to start where we want the user to start. So let's go ahead and let's change it from flow 1. And let's click login. Let's hit flow starting point. You can drag it around to different frames. It doesn't matter. Or you can just get rid of it and just restart it, as you saw me do. I'm going to say this is login. And then from there, you want to connect it to other pages. So for example, there's a couple ways you can do it. So there are interactions you can do with pages, or you'll see as I do here, there's this little plus button, and you can just drag it to different frames. And it'll automatically create an interaction for you and be like, okay, hey, how do you get to this other frame then? Do you want it on a click? Do you want it on a drag? Or what do you want it as? How do we figure it out? So I'm actually going to get rid of that. And I'm going to say after they have hit the login button, I want to drag them to this page. So you'll see that whatever item I selected, it'll only be like, okay, so if they hit this, then navigate them to another page. So we can change that from on click to mouse click or whatever. We can have it as a navigate, or we can have it as like a scroll, a swap overlay. And there's more to that. We can have there be like a dissolve, instant, slide in. Smart animate gets really useful when it's multiple pages of the same layout, the same like table or whatever, but different information in the tables, because it'll try to match the layers and it won't look too weird when you're prototyping. But that's a little farther out, and you can experiment with that more if you get into Figma. So let's go over here and say the user's not actually logged in here. So that's a little funky. So maybe we shouldn't have the prototype there. So let's go ahead and let's actually grab this and we'll duplicate it. We'll get rid of these two buttons. Actually, instead of that, let's just create a new variant. And let's say add new, sign out. Sign out. And then let's do it again. So let's do add new variant. Let's do solid and let's do sign out. Sign out. And again, you want to change the text to text white, and then we want to change the fill from surface to primary. And then we can go over here, click our button, and just swap it exactly to that variant. And then it makes more sense. So when we go to our prototype, and let's just restart our prototype real quick. When we're here, you can actually have Figma so like users can type in stuff. But you'll notice if you click somewhere, it'll try to highlight it. Oh, geez. Zoomed in a little too much. So if you try to click anywhere else, Figma will actually highlight what are your options. So I click login, it'll take me to that next page instantly because that's what we set it to do. And then we can have the sign out button take us back home, for example. So let's say, let's hit the prototype tab. Let's click the sign out button. Let's grab that little plus sign. Let's drag it back to this page. And so on click, we want it to navigate to our login page. And we want this to be instant. We can actually do something like dissolve. And we can set the time, we can preserve the scroll position, whatever we want. So when we go back here, we can hit sign out, and it'll take us back. And that's looking pretty cool. That's the very basics of like what we can explore with Figma. But even with just that, that's incredibly dope. We've been here for what, like 2-3 days, and we've pretty much got it down. All we can do from here is like create new pages, whatever we think our app might want. But we already know how to do it. So I can actually make this faster. So let's say 150 milliseconds. You can change like how it does it. These would require their own lecture to figure out what these do, or just a quick Google search actually. So if I go here and I hit login, bam. Very good. The basics are done. You can even have like the logo say, take them back to the login page. And then you can see on the prototype, two things light up, the sign out button and the bidder button also lights up. And that's the basics of an app. Good job. Awesome. Okay. So that's the basics of an app. If anything, we can actually add some spacing there. That's my bad. Hang on. Let's grab the discussions tab and scoot it over just like by 10. Yeah, by 10. So this would actually be called main feed. No login. Main feed user logged in. You wouldn't say user logged in, you'd say logged in. Actually, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So that would be the basic. You could even have like a little avatar for the user right there, if anything. Let's go ahead and do that just so it looks a little nicer. So let's do ellipse right here. We'll just copy that height. So that has a height of 30. We'll go to plugins, we'll go to avatars. If anything, we could actually make that a little bigger. So let's do 40 by 40. And maybe that's not the best way to do it. Maybe you don't want a sign out button there. Maybe you want to be able to tap their avatar icon and just have a little pop-up show up for like, hey, we want to see our settings, we want to see our profile, we want to see our we want to be able to log out from that little drop down. And for example, it would be like a little drop down, it's got a fill color. And then it's got our little text and be like, hey, settings, whatever. It's got our profile. And then it's got a sign out button right here. Maybe that's how you want to do it. And that's probably better, honestly, because this looks kind of funky. And you can get that vibe. But we're running out of time, so we don't really need to worry about that. For now, yeah, that's the basics. Let me get rid of that, actually. In fact, yeah, I'll probably get out of the sign up or get rid of the sign out button off camera. But yeah, so on to bigger news. That wraps up our Figma session, unless you guys want to see more. And then I believe Kevin should be back Monday, and he'll be getting us into the actual programming portion of this. So we'll be tackling how the app should look, user logging in, security, hosting our images, and a couple other things. I think he should be back Monday, if I remember correctly, but we'll find out. So thanks for hopping in. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and we will see you Monday. Get rid of that. All right. Good luck, guys.